Hello sourcers! Welcome back for another video discussing critical contract terms. This is my second video in what I hope to be is a series, and I'd like to discuss termination for convenience. Through the duration of this video, I will likely call termination for convenience T4C. What is termination for convenience? It is exactly what it sounds like. If I am in a contract or if I am engaged in consuming a service with a provider, I have the ability to cancel that service for any reason. I don't have to give a reason. I just decided I don't want to use you anymore, and there is typically a grace period. It's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and then I'm out free and clear. You use termination for convenience in your everyday life all of the time. If you want to switch cell phone providers, you can cancel via T4C and move on to another provider. For those of you old enough to remember when cell phones first came out, you were usually locked into a multi-year contract and you couldn't get rid of the service. But now you can cancel at any time and move on to whomever you like. Same thing with your home internet. You can switch off the hated Comcast and switch another provider should there be another provider in your local neighborhood, which we don't get in the New Jersey, Philadelphia area, so you're stuck with what you got. But if you had a competitor, you can use your T4C and leave anytime you want. Consumers' right for termination for convenience is being used quite a bit recently on services like Spotify. Quite a few people are upset right now with Spotify because of the way they're handling the whole Joe Rogan situation, which I'm not going to get into because that's not what this vlog is about. But people are exercising their rights to use termination for convenience to cancel services like Spotify and to go with competitors. So termination for convenience is something that we all use in our everyday lives with our everyday technology, and corporations also need to have termination for convenience if they can, which is not always the case. When we talk about termination for convenience at a corporate level, things like professional services, it's generally easier for a company to negotiate a terminate for convenience clause with services because the company that's providing the service can take that human resource and move it to another account within a set period of time, which goes back to the negotiated 30, 60, 90-day grace period where you have to provide notification. So typically, a professional services engagement, you can negotiate a terminate for convenience relatively reasonably. Termination for convenience gets more difficult in software engagements because smaller software companies, they may be more flexible in certain terms, but it's harder for them to offer terminate for convenience because it's harder for them to do their accounting. Let's say that they lock a company in for a 2, 3, 4-year deal. Now they can show that revenue on their financial records for those 2, 3, 4 years, right? It makes their company look stronger. And some of those smaller companies most likely want to be purchased and acquired by larger companies, and having more attractive financial records, better books, is going to make that happen. So they are very motivated to sign multi-year contracts, multi-year profit revenue streams, and terminate for convenience causes complications for them to be able to book that revenue. So it is harder for a smaller company to provide that particular term. Larger companies with higher profit margins, they may be more willing to provide that term because they may have a larger book of record with your company, and giving you that out clause prevents problems and larger account issues if you want to exit. So it gets a little bit complicated for T4C because you would think that a larger company may be harder to negotiate that term with, and in many ways they are because larger companies are just harder to negotiate with. But typically, because they have more revenue, better financials, that may be a term that will be easier to negotiate than with a smaller company. Just like in the consumer world, termination for convenience is something that you should attempt to have in most of your contracts, especially long-term contracts. If you have a month-long or a 2-month-long contract or a proof of concept, not necessarily the most critical thing that you have to negotiate. But if you're going through a multi-year deal, it's something that you definitely should consider. It's something that you should factor in, and it's something that you should understand. If you don't have that exit clause and the company has a problem, or as I mentioned in the last video, let's say they get acquired, you probably want an out clause because you may have a problem with that other company. But that's technically not terminate for convenience, right? That's probably negotiated under terminate for cause. You should have exit strategies booked into your contracts, and you should understand how and when you can get out. And terminate for convenience is generally the best clause to have because you don't need to have a reason. So thank you for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that it was informative. And if you have questions, feel free to hit them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back with another video in this series soon.